In this video, we're going to cover what I consider to be essential tournament rules. And we're going to be getting these rules from a number of sources. 1, the rule book. 2, the Scholastic Council regulations. And 3, from my 2 decades of experience directing and playing in hundreds of events. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So, tournament golden rule. If you get nothing else from this video, please take away that if there is any issue, do not wait. You must pause the clock, raise your hand, get the tournament director right then. Even if it's something very mild and you're just confused a little bit, pause the clock and get the tournament director. Please understand that tournament directors are not referees and they're not going to just automatically jump in anytime they see anything. No matter the age of the player in the tournament game, they need to self-advocate for themselves. So stay with me through this video for these basic tournament rules and need-to-know information, because I gathered this page that I'm going to be going through from students. Which rules do you wish you knew before you played in your first tournament? So, and also, if I'm missing anything or you have any questions, please comment below and I'll get back to you. Next up, we've got chess clocks. Yes, you absolutely need one. It causes a lot of issues when 2 players show up to a major tournament and do not have a clock. And secondly, you need to know how to set it. And down in the description below, I have a video showing how to set a number of the most common chess clocks for Nationals time control. Check it out. This was the number 1 complaint, number 1 and number 2 complaints. 1, players not bringing a clock, and 2, not knowing how to set it from Nationals tournament directors on the floor. So please bring your own clock and let's work on setting it. As at the beginning of a tournament with thousands of players at Nationals, it can definitely cause delays with so many people needing clocks set at the 11th hour. And if you want a longer lunch break, please help us out with that. Next up, the time rule. If you or the opponent goes under 5 minutes in the tournament game, you no longer have to take notation. So definitely keep that in mind, as notation can be a distraction. So it will change depending upon if it's a FIDE tournament or other things that are advertised by an organizer, but generally if you or the opponent goes under 5 minutes, you no longer have to take notation. Next up, touch move, touch takes. If you touch a piece and you are legally allowed to move it, you must move it. If you touch a piece with a piece and you can capture, you must capture. So for instance, if the king is in check, you've touched your queen, and your queen can block the check or capture the piece that is checking the king, you must move the queen. In the event that you touch the queen and you can't legally move it, it's like you didn't touch it at all, you continue the game. So very often in Scholastic tournaments, we'll see this issue happen. Called over, my opponent touched the piece. Well, say you've got the king directly behind a rook, and a young player is reaching to grab the rook, and they brush the king in the process. It is the intent of the player for the piece that they're trying to move. Accidents do happen with this, so make sure that your child understands that rule, that I was reaching for this piece in order to self-advocate, because there can be misunderstandings with the touch move rule. Next up, an extension of this is castling. So intent of the player, but we strongly recommend touch the king first. King, 1-2, put the rook over, or the other side castling long, 1-2, put the rook over. Touch the king first when castling. Also, play with one hand. Imagine the scenario where someone's moving with one hand, keeping their hand on the clock. That's definitely not best case scenario. I recommend students to play with their dominant hand. Most people are right-handed. So my order of operations is I make my move, press the clock, write down my move on the notation sheet. So a good thing to practice, and we'll go over that order a little bit more coming up with another point that we have. So next up, very important, understand how to read pairings. So it's one of the most frequent things we see at a tournament. We will be looking in the wrong area. You're looking at the wall chart instead of pairings. Make sure you've selected pairings, and BD is very important, as we'll often see that players will look at the pound number, in this case, say number 9 by John Kennedy, and they think, oh, I'm playing on board 9. No. BD is board, so this would be heading to board 1, and if your name came first, you're playing white. If your name comes second, you're playing black. I will have tie breaks down below as well. Tie breaks can be a bit difficult to explain. We have a number of tie breaks that go in order, and the computer automatically calculates it for us at this point. But needless to say, the first tie break, if 2 players had the exact same score and they're vying for a trophy, say for instance, we're going to take the scores, its strength of schedule of both opponents, and say everyone that both opponents played, you're adding those scores together, and that is a basic definition of the tie breaks. But as I stated, I'm going to have it down below so you can dive into the specifics with those tie breaks, but easiest to understand is strength of schedule as the first few tie breaks. Next up, who chooses equipment? There will be exceptions based on the tournament. For instance, at nationals and major scholastic events, the chess sets are going to be provided, which is the board and pieces. Clocks are not. Again, bring your own clock. But typically, black is going to have choice of equipment at a tournament. So if you want to use your chess clock and you're playing black, you're welcome to do so. And you typically get to choose which side of the board you want your clock on. There can be exceptions to this to major tournaments, like CCA events, state championships, nationals, when there's a lot of players. We typically want all the clocks facing one way, and this really helps tournament directors out as they're looking down a long row of tables and being able to see that all clocks are set properly. So you normally have choice of equipment and where to place the clock, but it's going to be on a tournament by tournament basis. Next up, general communication and how to offer a draw properly. During a tournament game, the only people you should communicate with is your opponent and a tournament director if you have a question. Pretty much anybody else is off limits. And if someone approaches you to talk to you while you have a game in progress, you just quickly and simply say, sorry, I have a game. Sorry, I'm in a game, and walk away. Do not communicate with people because the paranoia with cheating these days is extremely high, so it's better not to communicate at all during tournament games unless it's with a tournament director or your opponent. So very often, and we see this in chess culture, draw offers are done in an inappropriate manner, much like in Searching for Bobby Fischer at the end of the movie. How to properly offer a draw is I make my move, and on my time, while it's still clicking down, I clearly state to my opponent, I'm offering a draw, and then I press the clock. Notice, if you offer a draw on your opponent's time or you're trying to talk to your opponent on their time, that can be considered a distraction, trying to break their concentration, so you do things on your time. Say, for instance, you messed up on your notation. On your time, while your time is clicking down, you can ask, can I borrow your score sheet in order to fix it? And if you struggle with notation, that's definitely a way to make sure you're getting your notes. Next up, we have illegal moves, and it really depends on the time control and the type of tournament. Say, for instance, in Blitz, an illegal move can be forfeit, whereas in a standard tournament, 2 minutes is added to the clock of the opponent of the rule violator. So make sure if your opponent makes an illegal move, especially if you're in time trouble, pause the clock, get the tournament director, he made an illegal move, and you will get 2 minutes extra of thinking time. So this could be changing the course of a game, knowing this rule, so please make sure it's understood. Now, this is another important one with leaving early for a tournament and buys. So say you know you're going to arrive late for the first game, or you need to catch a flight and leave early. When registering for the tournament, you can request a half-point buy for the round, so you're getting a half point for your score that round and able to miss the game. If you decide to just up and leave, well, this is going to cause a problem as you are still going to be paired. And if you're paired, that's going to leave someone sitting there waiting for you to arrive, and you never plan to. A lot of us are traveling quite a bit in order to get to tournaments, and if you send an email, notify well in advance that you are not going to be playing the round, we can take you out, so it's not punishing someone else because you need to leave. So please email and take yourself out of the tournament if you plan on leaving early. If you're in the situation where your opponent doesn't show up, the Scholastic regulations state that it's 30 minutes for the game until forfeit time. You do not get any rating points for a forfeit, but you will get a point in the standings for the event. Next up, a common misconception with travel. And by travel, I mean a lot of players who are new think that they can't get up from the board during the game. You can use your time as you see fit. If you need to go use the bathroom, go use the bathroom. It's fine. I would say some exceptions to this. If you're on a DGT board, a live board, you occasionally have to ask permission, as well as if it's certain major events where a lot of money's on the line, they do have extra safety precautions to ensure that there's no cheating going on or the perception that cheating could take place. So you can get up, and you don't pause the clock, again, because it's your time to use as you see fit. Next up, phone policy, and it's going to be different from tournament to tournament. At national events, if you're caught with a phone on your person, typically that's an automatic forfeit. Whereas local events, it's tournament director's discretion and depending upon what they advertise. So best policy these days in the age of modern technology is not to have an electronic device on your person during games. We recommend having your phone off and face up on the table beside the score sheet, not in a pocket or on your person ever for games. And lastly, we've got notation methodology. And lately, and I say this as someone who just recently finished a tournament and I had multiple complaints in younger sections, my opponent has written down the move before they've made it. And this rule has changed a few times, but the easiest way to perceive this is it could be considered written help by writing it down beforehand. And on top of that, you're giving your opponent information on what you're thinking about. So I've always felt that it's lacking in best practice to write down your move before playing it. And easiest way, as I stated earlier, it's make your move, press the clock, write down your move while your opponent's time is ticking. Because if you make the move and then write it down, gradually that amount of time that you're wasting is going to add up over the course of a 40-move game. So please keep that in mind. And if you mess up on the score sheet, again, communication with the opponent. You can ask to borrow their score sheet on your time to catch up and write things down. So again, if you have any questions on tournament rules or there's any misunderstandings, please comment below. Happy to get back to you, happy to explain. Thanks for joining in. If you found this video helpful, like and subscribe.